Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. I am today sitting in the back of my Bentley, somewhere I don't actually sit that often, to be honest with you, because I'm driving all the time, so no one's going to drive for me, so I never get to sit in the back. But the reason why I'm sitting in the back is because there's no point in sitting in the front, because the car has broken down again. Now, what happened was a couple of days ago, and I would have filmed this, but my phone battery was on like 4%, and as you'll hear, I needed my phone. So basically I was driving along, going for dinner, meeting a couple of friends, and the battery light came on. Now the battery previously, both the batteries had been changed, and the alternator was changed with the alternator belt as well, and so there should not have been a problem. When I say previously it was changed, I'm talking about less than 1,000 kilometers ago. I left dinner, started driving, and then one by one everything started shutting down. All these error lights started coming on. I could see that the lights were dimming, and there's just like no way that I was going to make it there. So I ended up pulling up at the side of the road, and then basically just left the keys in the car, messaged the workshop and said send somebody down to pick it up. But saying all of that, the car was also going to come in today anyway, because we were going to get the whole service done. But the thing that I'm concerned about is, why did it happen? Because they changed the alternator, they put a belt on it. Apparently it wasn't an original belt, but within 1,000 kilometers, within a few months, this should not have happened. Original belt or aftermarket belt. So I'm waiting for the owner of the garage to come in and speak to him about it. So that's on the Bentley, and I'll give you a full update on that later. The other thing is the Aston Martin. Now I've just been over to the workshop to do the Aston Martin, or to have a look at it, and last week the plan was that we were going to do the Aston, as in repair the back end of it completely. So this means taking that whole composite rear end and gluing it into place essentially. So that was the plan, and then last week when we went there, I took one of the body shop guys from this place, the guy who's in charge of the body shop over here. I took him to where the Aston is located, and we realized that before we can even do anything, it was so dusty. We need that whole rear subsection and the rear of the car, everything just really clean, and also on the rear quarter panels, any imperfections taken out, because once we glue it into place, we don't want to have to move it. We don't want to do any body repair. So I said to the guy in the other workshop last week, get all of this stuff done, because today we're going to come and do it. I've just been over there, and to be honest with you, I'm really ticked off, because he's done some of the things, he hasn't done all of them. Certainly hasn't been washed down, and the rear quarter panel sort of damage that's there has not been fully fixed. So so the way that I'm looking at it is, next, this is gonna sit there for 2 months, right, and nothing's gonna move. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to bring it down over here, and basically put it over here somewhere, where most of my parts are over here anyway. So I thought, let me bring it here, and then at least that way it will get done. Most of the repair job, the frame job and all of that is actually largely done, 95% complete. And the reason why we sent it there is because these guys are really busy here, and they're more expensive. So since we've got nearly everything done, I'm thinking let's bring it over here. So I'm just waiting for the workshop owner to come in, speak to him, and then it then basically means bringing it over on a forklift. Probably actually put it onto a flatbed as well. So we'll lift it up off the forklift onto the flatbed, bring it all over, bring all the stuff over, all the parts and everything, and just get it out of that place, because they're just taking forever, and it's just really ticking me off. So here's the alternator, and you can see the fan belt has been removed. Normally it goes around there and onto there. Now the fan belt was actually on there the other day, so it was working, but actually what happened is when I started the car up, I could smell like a burning smell, smelled like a fan belt or something like that, or an alternator belt, sorry. So it definitely had that smell when I started it up, that sort of burning rubber smell. And then shortly afterwards that battery light came on. So they've removed it from here. Apparently they hadn't fitted a original belt in the first place. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why people use cheap parts. That's the reason why I decided to buy all my own parts. So anyhow, when the guy from the who owns the workshop, when he comes in, we'll have a chat. Right, so we're going to start with the fuel filter, the oil filter, which is just there. So we're going to take that off and drain the oil, take that off, and then replace and refill. So it's just that there, which is fairly accessible from the bottom, a little bit tight, but should be okay. So you can see it's quite black, the oil, so definitely needs changing. So here we got the gearbox filter, or the gearbox oil, draining it out. It probably hasn't been done for a very long time, so we'll drain it all out, open it up, change the filter, change the gasket, replace the oil, and job done. Okay, so currently we're changing the oil filter. This is the oil filter that I purchased. It is an aftermarket oil filter, but it's exactly the same, and obviously saves me a little bit of money. So just changing the oil filter. You can see it's quite a messy job, and there we go. I've got a huge catch-all bucket there, which is handy. So that's the old oil filter. I can't see a Bentley marking on it actually, but yeah, we're going to replace it anyway. So it amazes me how many people skimp and save on servicing and things like that. It's just not worth it, especially if you own one of these cars, or if you really own any car. Should always get it serviced regularly, change the oils, change the oil filter at the very least, and then there's lots of other things as well. I mean, we'll come to the cabin filters. I think I mentioned earlier that a lot of people don't change them, and if you don't change it and your heater blows, then the replacement for that is significantly more than a couple of cabin filters each year. So yeah, I mean, get these things done regularly if you own these cars. It's not too expensive. A lot of it can be done yourself. I mean, I'm getting the messy work done from these guys, but I'm also doing bits myself as well. The sensor caps, I'll do the boot struts probably as well, and then the cabin filters I'll change as well, so I'll show you how to do that, and then all the pollen filters as well. So lots of things that can be done, which a lot of people just don't get done. So it's fitted a new oil filter and just tightening it up. So it's got a special wrench which sort of straps around the filter itself to get it nice and tight. So we've got the gearbox cover coming down. Let's have a look at that. Here's the old filter. So I thought I'd just show you a bit of a close-up. Luckily, it doesn't seem to be any metal flakes or anything like that in there, so gearbox looks to be in good health. Oil doesn't look completely black either. I don't know if it's just because it's sort of gathered to one side. I suppose on that side it is quite dark. Anyhow, it needs changing. The gasket will be changed as well. So let's get on with that. View of the inside of the bottom of the gearbox at least. That's the filter that you see in the middle over there. And it always amazes me that you've got sort of all these cables and things like that. Obviously everything's sealed, but still, it's pretty amazing that it sits inside a pool of oil. But yeah, so nothing that I see that worries me so far, so it seems to be okay. Then drop the filter, let it drain, and then replace it. So next up also is going to be the fuel pump, which is an original Bosch unit. I guess in hindsight could have ordered directly Bosch rather than Bentley, but I did get it at a reasonable price, so I'm not really too worried about that. But just so you guys know for the future, that's the part number. So here we are, we're adding the fluid in now. So the gearbox oil goes in from over here, and this is what we're using, Petronas ATF D3, and then we're adding the engine oil in on that side, putting in Mobile 1. This is 0W30 that we're putting in. I think the 5W, okay. So yeah, so this is 5W30 that we're putting in. Recommended is 0W, but we've got the 5W. It's hot climate over here, and normally that's what they put in over here. So 5W30, and it should be good for a year. Also, just so you know, in terms of quantities, if you're changing the filter, if you're not changing the filter, then you'd put in 4 litres. If you're changing the filter, this is for the gearbox, if you're changing the filter, you'd put in 4.5 litres. He's actually topped it up with 5, but if it comes out as too high, then we'll drain a little bit from it. Engine oil is 10 litres of engine oil. So this is the location of the pollen filters. There's one on this side and one on the other side. You need to take them out, change the filter, and also the rubber seals as well. Got those too. So we'll be fitting all that in the car. So these are the 2 filters. That's your air filter there, and then in here, that's the rubber seals. So those Bentley bits are the rubber seals, and that is the alternator belt. This is actually going to be a temporary one. The original one, or the one that we took out that failed, is the same make as this, so it's maintenance free, but that's obviously not true. This is why you shouldn't fit crappy parts. So the one that I just showed you is only going to be fitted on for hopefully a week. This was fitted on less than 1,000 kilometers ago, and you can see it split there. Really poor quality, but I just need it to last a week because I'll get a proper one from the UK, and then we'll take the other one out. So surprise number 1, it's absolutely empty, there's no cassette in there. So we're going to have to order the cassette for that. It's not expensive, but just we don't have it. So a bit gutted about that the pollen filters. This is the air filter itself, so just taking the housing off. Hopefully nothing unexpected over here. Pretty dirty. So that's the old one, the old air filter. So it's pretty bad. Expected. It's dusty country. It's actually sand at the bottom of the air filter housing, and as you can see, it's all pretty dusty underneath. Really needs a good steam clean actually, but I just want to get the car back on the road today. Still got other jobs to do, so one of the things we need to do is change this cable, change the springs as well. Need to change both those springs, both sides, and then open this up, clear out the grease from there, and then re-grease it. There you go, it's a new one going back in the car, nice and clean. So if you ever want to change a fuel filter, which you should do according to the maintenance schedule, it's actually relocated on the right hand side underneath the panel over here. Yeah, we'll scrub that. Turns out the location is actually on the left side, which we found out the hard way by opening up the right side first. But that was basically because one of the guys in the workshop was saying, yeah, it's underneath that panel there on the right hand. So there you go, that's the fuel filter over there, right in the middle. Fairly accessible, which is good. So hopefully get it swapped out in no time. So this is the old one, the old fuel coming out. So it's been a while since that's been changed for sure. And yeah, definitely needed changing. That's the new one over there with new fixtures and everything as well. So that'll do another year or so. Yeah, so I'm not sure how often the fuel filters need changing. I'll have a check on that. I've got a feeling it's every 3 years, and there's only one. With some cars, I know with my Ferrari 456M, that had 2 fuel filters. So with this, it's only just the one. So it hasn't taken them long, half an hour probably end to end. Took them more time finding the thing than actually changing it. So all done. So another job that needs to be done is the changing of the interior recirculation filters. They fit up there. I don't know if that's showing you where it is, but it's just underneath the dash on both sides, one on this side, one on the other, and just needs to be replaced. It just clips out, clips in. Should be less than 5 minutes. So I was telling you that I didn't think that these had ever been changed, but just look at them, absolutely filthy. And this was inside the cabin, so this is essentially the air you're breathing is being recirculated through this. So lucky I changed those. And if you haven't changed yours, change yours every single year. It's cheap, and it's an insurance against breaking your own air blower. So another job that needed to be done was the replacement of the Alternator belt. So that is done. This is actually temporary. It's just to get me by for a week, and then I'll have an original one on order and we'll replace it. So now we're going to go ahead and start it. The dial to watch is this one here, because it needs to be 2/3 over. Alright, so here goes on the door side. Right, good. So that has moved over exactly where it should be. So that's good. Oil pressure seems okay. The water temperature is obviously cold. Full tank of fuel. And the time is probably wrong. I'm not really too sure actually. No, I think it's okay. Anyway, we'll have a check in a second.